I've never named one of my vehicles, but for the first time ever, I'm gonna make an exception. At least 68, 69, I think. To check the serial number to see for sure. This was an old county landfill truck. Here is the 68 Ford F250. All of these were spec'd as long beds as a 250. This one is two-wheel drive. If you didn't catch it in the video there when we were loading it, pulling it out, the guys were talking about this was an old Marion County landfill truck. So you got the decals there. That's when Marion County used to be 316 prefix instead of a 620. So that tells you how old this thing is. This color is holly green. White painted grille, white painted bumper. Pretty standard fleet spec truck. It is all original paint. Of course, it's got its bumps and scrapes and warts like any old work truck would, which is just fine. I'm not really crazy over perfect stuff. Of course, I was trained in auto restoration, have a 4-year college degree in it. Type of vehicle that would not be restored for a multiple variety of reasons. Number one, it wouldn't be economically viable. Number two, it wouldn't be feasible in the sense of time. And number three, most importantly, it would just kind of erase the history of what this truck is. If it were restored and fresh and pristine, it wouldn't tell the story of the history that it's had. Pretty original inside. Got the rubber floor mat. These were a standard painted steel door panel. Steering column, you can tell, obviously needs work. Caught when we were loading it there that bearing's come apart and that rag joint's off. These did have a padded dash. I want to say I think that was standard, but I'm not going to say for certain. It's had the pack rats partying hard in it, which for a truck is not the end of the world. Just sweep it out, hose it out, probably reupholster the seat possibly, or just go get another Southwest seat cover to put over. Decode the data plate here in a minute. F25 is a Ford F250 two-wheel drive pickup. Y 360 V8. K Kansas City Assembly Plant. D 30961 defines a May 1968 build date. Second row, the wheelbase is 131 inches. Color L is holly green. The model F253 is a redundant designation referring to the max gross vehicle weight of 6,100 pounds. For the body, 3.3 refers to medium beige crush vinyl with leads pattern woven plastic inserts. 81 refers to a conventional cab. Transmission F is a 4-speed synchronized Warner. Axle 38 is a 373 Dana 60. Gross vehicle weight, again, 6,100. Horsepower, 179 at 4,000 RPM. The DSO number means domestic special order. There were also foreign special orders. The first 2 digits of that, 53, refer to the Kansas City plant, and I was not able to find any information for the last 4 digits of that DSO. Later on, I'll clean this truck out, work on it a little, tinker on it, probably do a will it run. Of course, as a self-employed business owner, personal projects always come last. Truck is missing the tailgate and the folding arms, so those will have to be sourced. There's little peg things that hold it in at the bottom, those are gone, so I'll need all of that. Fortunately, these gates fit back to like 64. Bed floor, amazingly, for sitting piled with junk for 20 years, it's got surface rust, but it's not all rusted out. So that's a relief. It won't be a bunch of patchwork. I've probably had well over 1,000 vehicles. And so at this point, like, I really don't get excited over too many of them that often. But for whatever reason, this truck really excites me. I like it, I dig it. Call me crazy, but I like ratty, junky stuff. And just in general, I like junk. So I've never named a vehicle ever, but for the first time, I will be naming one. This truck will be Oscar, as in Oscar the Grouch. The parallels should be pretty obvious. I mean, it was a landfill truck. It is painted green. And when I got it, it was loaded pretty full of junk. Psychologically, each of us is a product of our upbringing. And so for me as a kid, I only watched Sesame Street. I never watched Looney Tunes. I never watched regular cartoons or other kids' shows. I watched Sesame Street, and for the one reason that there was Oscar the Grouch. So for me as a 5-6-year-old kid, I was just totally captivated by the idea of this Muppet that lived in a garbage can and told people to scram and have a rotten day and collected junk. Continue the fleet vehicle theme with this 1970 Ford F100. It's hard to catch it here, but this was originally painted dark blue because it was an Air Force truck. Inside of the cab, also painted dark blue. Just a very, very basic spec fleet vehicle. See some of that original paint. This truck came out of Texas, and so there's parts of the body that have rust and parts that don't. The outer body, very, very straight. Pretty original truck, except for having the seat replaced and the paint sanded off of it. For whatever reason, the bed floor and the tire wells do need rust repair. I've got a donor bed out in the other part of the yard that I bought that would be a good piece to use to patch this together. Will take some work, but I feel like for the rarity of this truck being a short bed Air Force truck, it is worth that effort. I believe that steering wheel is also not original. It's off of like a 73 to 79 truck. You can see the gap in the wheel there. That means, unfortunately, that bearing needs work. This one needs a rag joint also. Show you the floor there. Just got some rust needing floor pans. It's not a salty truck. There's just places that have held water. Show the cab brace there. that's a pretty typical thing on all these trucks. They're just all gonna be that way, at least in this area, and it's kind of something you got to work with, got to deal with. Short bed truck. This originally would have had the white painted grill. It's got an aluminum grill now. Front bumper's in the bed. I've got a correct white painted grill for it. Show you under the hood here, the engine. They said this is a rebuilt 390 and that the guy had put a lot of work into it. It's got the 4-barrel intake with the Holly, H-heads, headers. The guy said he got this truck from guy and it ran absolutely awesome, but he never gave him the title for it. And so, great running truck. He just parked in the field 20 years ago. He said he hated to do it because there was absolutely nothing wrong with it at the time. Engine still turns. I'm confident that with a little tinkering, this engine will fire up and run, and the truck will drive, so this will definitely be good fodder for a later will it run. This is a 67 Ford long bed. I really like this truck. I got it from a farm auction up Clay County, and I don't know if this truck really hardly ever left the county. They used it to go back and forth to get supplies to town, and that was really about it. Led a pretty easy life, so it didn't get all beat up. It is a bit work worn inside. See, the plastic lens got broke in the dash cluster. I pulled one out of a parts truck. Show you this radio face. That's specific to 67. It's got the small face with the small numbers. People couldn't read it, so they complained about it. 68 and later, they changed it to the large face. This one's got really basic upholstery pattern in it. Just a bare bones old truck. Another feature of a 67 is this skinny side trim. 68, they made it wider. And then also on the hood sides, these badges, 67 does not have the reflector inserts. So, kind of neat being 67 just has some of its 1 year only little details like that. See the pull bar there on the front? They would tow this truck behind a tractor, and it was what they used to drive home for lunch. White painted grill, white painted bumper. See, the paint on this is just really weathered down, patinaed down nice. Some of these trucks you see just like totally beat to death, but this one, they actually cared about it. I mean, it's been well used, but it's been cared for. On sale day, they did start and run this truck, and I was surprised that for as spoiled as that fuel was, that it actually started and ran nice. I'm really hoping that the push rods didn't get bent, which kind of happens when this old sticky gas is run through an engine. So we'll see. Might just pop that valve cover off there and check before I start it. Obviously dump the tank, drain it before ever running it again. Right here is another 67 of mine. This truck has a V8, I believe a 360. It does turn. This one has the early emblems without the reflectors, the skinny side trim. All original paint on this truck. It's really patinaed down nice like the blue one. Truck's really straight overall, not rusty. There is a wrinkle in that driver's front fender, which I'll show you in a minute. All of these trucks by this time had the big back window. Chevrolet for 67 had the small back window, but Ford, they just started right off with the big one. Interior, very untouched original. I mean, it's got its age on it, but really not been abused and used hard for work like a lot of these trucks were. So we've seen some really basic bare bones trucks, and now it's time to show really the top of the line truck. This is the Ranger XLT. See, you got that wood grain tailgate trim, got the wood grain inserts in the sides, and this is just really fancy truck overall. Stainless around the windshield, got the chrome bumper, big aluminum grill. This truck really, overall, not rusty. Passenger side's in really good shape, but for whatever reason, that driver's side has some scrapes and some marks on all the panels. This one came out of an estate. I do have the title. Engine turns, fluids were full and clean, so I believe it will run. This one is two-tone. It's got the white cab roof, cargo light. This is a really sharp top-of-the-line truck in its day. Take you down the driver's side here. Just show all of this stuff. You'd like to find them in better shape, but it's all fixable. Usually the damage is on the passenger side where the driver can't see what they're hitting, but rust is a little odd. But for a Kansas truck, this one's definitely buildable, restorable truck. Thank everyone for watching. It's kind of fun for me to walk around and look at these trucks. Hopefully you all can say the same. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like below. Comment which of these trucks is your favorite. I will say every one of these trucks has an engine that turns, so any of them could be potentially viable runners. If you see any that you liked and you want to get together on them, send me an email. I'll put that down in the description box.